Hey guys! Welcome, fellow freaks, geeks, and nostalgic 90s nerds, to my channel, Slime and Slashers, where, we talk about everything from Nickelodeon slime to horror movie slashers, but plenty of stuff in between. Today, however, we are talking Nickelodeon! I'm very excited. We're going to be talking about Are You for the Dark today, so I'm pretty pumped. We're going to be talking about the show in general, everybody, but we also are going to be talking about two specific episodes. That looks like four. Two specific episodes. And that will be The Tale of the Midnight Madness and The Tale of the Ghastly Grinner. And for the occasion, of course, I had to wear a thematic t-shirt. The Midnight Society, bitch. So here we go. We've got Cameron in the chat. Cameron, hey! We've got Cool Gamer. We've got Pax Panic. Hello. We've got Jonathan. We've got a lot of people. We've got Helco. Welcome, welcome. And thank you all for joining me today or tonight, whatever time you're watching, if you're watching after the fact. I appreciate each and every one of you. I am so flippin' pumped to talk about Are You for the Dark? It's going to be a lot of fun. I did a little bit of prep for this, but I feel like I can't do as good of a job discussing these episodes as some of my favorite podcasts have done in the past. But we'll get to that because I've got some plugging to do for different podcasts and such that are really like Are You for the Dark experts. But before we dive into all that, I want to hear, what are you guys reading right now? What are you guys watching right now? Shout it out as we wait for more people to join in. I just kind of want to hear how you guys are doing, and then we can get started shortly after that. Currently, I am reading, where is it? Did I not bring it near me? Of course I didn't. I am currently reading Zombie Bake Off, it's called, by Stephen Graham Jones. I don't want to like spoil what I think about it, but at the same time, it's like I don't know how to feel about it. Like I'm torn right now on if I like it, if I'm into the writing style. I'm honestly kind of confused. Like when I was reading the first 50 pages, I almost wanted to DNF it, but then I was like, I should stick it through. The essential premise, if you guys are not familiar, it's these uh, wrestlers crash this bake off, and there are these poisoned donuts or infected donuts, and whoever eats the donuts turns into a zombie. And that's not a spoiler, it's on the back of the book. But it's just the way it's written and the characters are written that it's just not my favorite. So I'm having a hard time, I gotta tell you, with this book. But I'm also reading The Undead Girl Gang, which is pretty cute. I'm gonna raise up my light. Okay, now I look like a ghost, but that'll be perfect for this thematic Are You for the Dark type of stream. Oh, Cameron says he is reading tons of Fear Street right now. Ooh, finishing up Goodnight Kiss, which is brilliant. So many Lost Boys vibes. Ooh, I want to read that one. That's exciting. John Doe is also here in the chat. Hello, hello. How you doing? And Jonathan says the tale of Laughing in the Dark holds up. Totally agree. I think a lot of Are You for the Dark episodes hold up. Sometimes, Cameron, please don't get mad. I don't think that Goosebumps episodes all the like hold up all the time. So I think Are You for the Dark, a lot of those episodes hold up for some reason, but there are a few Goosebumps that I was like, ugh, like today. Not that it was terrible, it's just like I didn't like it. For instance, you guys might remember if you're not new, but if you are new, let me tell you about it. April was my big extravaganza, old school April, where I read and watched things from 2002 or earlier. So everything I read, everything I watched had to be at least 20 years old, if not older. And so that was a really fun time, and thanks to all who participated. But while I was doing that, one of the things I watched a whole bunch of Goosebumps and I watched a whole bunch of Are You for the Dark. So it was cool to watch them, like, in the same time period, very concentrated in like 1 month. Now, how many? Of course, I don't have it up. I'm going to pull it up real quick, guys. I'm going to pull up my statistics for you guys so I can tell you how many episodes of each I watched. I'm almost positive I watched more Are You for the Dark in April than I did Goosebumps. In total, I know I've said this in my April wrap up, so I'm sorry if you guys already heard me saying this, but I watched 64 freaking things. It's insane. I can't believe I watched that much old school stuff. It's not all movies, it was a lot of TV shows. All right, so let us sort by title. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I watched 10 episodes of Are You for the Dark. Is that right? I guess it is right. That is crazy. I don't remember watching that much. It didn't feel like that much, but I guess. And Goosebumps, it's a little harder because, they're two-parter episodes. So technically, 1, 2, three, four episodes. It's technically eight, but each one was a two-parter. So four stories of Goosebumps. And the one I didn't like at all was One Day at Horrorland. And I love that book. I love the Goosebumps book, One Day at Horrorland. But the flippin' TV show episode, I was like, no, no. So yeah, just let's get back to the chat real quick. We've got Mr. Morningstar is here. Hey, slime balls. Happy whatever day it is. It is Tuesday, and I always forget the day of the week it is. I have to look at my computer in the corner to see the day. We've got Crystal here. Check out her channel, by the way. So underrated. I love her channel, and she's just celebrating 1 year on BookTube. Happy 1 year anniversary, Crystal. And her channel is called Fiber Artsy, as you could see right over here. I was about to point to the wrong side of the screen. Cameron was referencing the book I told you guys about that I'm reading, Zombie Bake Off. He said, Poison Donuts, still worth it. I got to see how things develop. Pax says, I'm reading Modern Prometheus by Jason Robert Ducharme. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. That would be very just me if I pronounce it wrong, which I probably did. Eli says, I'm reading Fear Street also, reading them in order and on first date. Having a blast reading them, thanks to Cameron's channel mostly. Hoping you get back to your Fear Street vlog, Cameron. Yeah, Cameron's Fear Street vlogs are incredible. They're some of my favorite vlogs I've ever seen. I do enjoy those vlogs quite a bit. And yes, Fear Street's wonderful. I just read The Thrill Club, which is a Fear Street book, of course, in April, and that one was really good. Very entertaining. Crystal is reading Wisteria Cottage, which I actually own a copy of that. I was given it for a Christmas present, and I hope to get to it one day. Just don't know when. Cameron actually agrees with me. It says Goosebumps episodes don't always hold up. He agrees. The two-parters are where it's at, though. Like, The Haunted Mask is a really great episode of Goosebumps, or a two-parter episode of Goosebumps. Welcome to Dead House was incredible, too. I don't even remember that as a kid. I'm sure I saw it. But there are a few that are amazing. I just did not like One Day at Horrorland. I was like, I hate the way the monsters look. And I know it kind of matches the vibe of the cover of the book, with, you know, the cool monster and the sign of Horrorland, but I just didn't like it. I just didn't like it at all. Oh, wow. Cameron's got a new Fear Street vlog on the way, he says. He's filming it right now. That's exciting. And he actually just read First Date, so that makes me want to read it too. That all sounds very exciting. All right, guys, that's awesome. I'm so glad to hear what you guys have been up to. You can continue to shout out more things that you're doing and watching and reading and etc. As we go along. I don't mind reading that. I like to see what everyone's up to. But let's dive into Are You for the Dark? What are you guys' favorite episodes of Are You for the Dark? I'd like to get a feel of what everyone else really, really loves when it comes to the show. Why did you like Are You for the Dark back in the 90s? Is it something you discovered when you were really little? Were you a preteen or a teenager at the time and you weren't into it? I watched it every now and then, but I gotta say, there are episodes that I still have somehow not seen that I'm actually going back and watching today. And that's crazy considering I'm a huge, huge Nickelodeon fan. So to me, I mean, I guess that is kind of nuts that there are still episodes somehow that I have not seen, but it is what it is. However, it kind of makes it extra special to see some for the first time as an adult. Although I do wish I had seen every single one as a kid, but you can't go back and change time. So for April, what I watched was mostly Are You for the Dark episodes that were like favorites of mine. I didn't watch The Tale of the Pinball Wizard, which was my favorite as a kid. That one by far was like my jam growing up. There was something about the abandoned mall. Rewatching it now, that one doesn't hold up as much as, you know, other episodes of Are You for the Dark, but it's still got this fun vibe and this goofy, nostalgic flair that I says. Benjamin, my friend Benjamin's saying hi through Cameron. He says he can't be here tonight, but says it'll take a disaster to make him miss the Teen Witch stream. I was actually thinking I should ask someone to be on with me I should have asked someone to be on with me tonight to co-host with me, but I didn't think about it. I should have asked Benjamin or Cameron to be with me for Teen Witch, but it's kind of late now. But Teen Witch, guys, if you like Teen Witch, the awesome old school 80s movie that's super cheesy but super marvelous as well, I'm talking that on Thursday, May 12th. At 7 p.m. Central Time. So same time, different discussion. Both old school things, though. Are You for the Dark today? Old school. Teen Witch, old school. And all of it's in honor of Old School April. So we miss Benjamin. Cameron, tell him that. But we will be happy to see him on Thursday for Teen Witch. So the episodes I watched for Old School April of Are You for the Dark, the Tale of the Midnight Madness, of course, which is one of the episodes we'll be talking about today, the Tale of the Dream Machine, the Tale of the Dollmaker, the Tale of the Bookish Babysitter, the Tale of the Crimson Clown, the Tale of the Quiet Librarian, which was one that I had never seen as a kid, so that was one I was referring to, the Tale of the Ghastly Grinner, the Tale of the, come on, Dead Man's Float, and what else? The Tale of the Chameleons, which is ridiculous but fun. Oh god, I remember that one from when I was a kid very vividly for some reason, but I had to go back and watch it because I forgot a lot of it. And finally, the last episode I watched for April, The Tale of the Badge, which is another one that I had never seen before as a kid. So watching it now, I was like, what? This is wild. This is a weird badger creature. What is going on? Like, what is the deal with this monster? I mean, at first you kind of want to laugh at it, especially because he just keeps saying the same word over and over again. What's the word? I took notes on a lot of the things I watched. I'm sure it's in here somewhere. I have no idea where. I have Boy Meets World episode notes that I can find right when I don't need them. But a lot of things were good. I don't think I made a note of what the badge says over and over and over again in the episode, but I like that there was an Irish flair in the badge, and Pax agrees with me. Badge was great. Yeah, like, I love the Irish grandma. She's like, lass, you're special, lass. I mean, she kind of says it, like, not that sentence at all, but she does have a cute little accent that I adored. I don't remember the Tale of Station 109.1 with Gilbert Godfrey, but I remember you singing that, Pax, on your tag video where you did Goosebumps versus Are You for the Dark and you answered my tag. I have to go back and rewatch that one. I wish I would have put even more Are You for the Dark episodes on my list, because technically for April, that was some of the most enjoyable things that I had to watch were these Are You for the Dark episodes. Cameron says, Are You for the Dark was my gateway as a kid. I loved Goosebumps, but Are You for the Dark gave me something a bit scarier that my mom still approved of. Good point. I do think that when it comes to the darkness factor, I feel like Are You for the Dark definitely had that over Goosebumps, in my opinion. And it's just like the nature of the show. Even the open was more creepy, in my opinion. But you can't beat the flippin' awesome banger of a theme song for the Goosebumps show, though. Yes, Cameron, R.I.P. Gilbert Godfrey. That is so sad that he passed away. So many great comedians and, comedic actors passing away over these last, 6 to 8 months. Very sad. This is cool. Cameron says when he was in middle school, couldn't see the show anywhere, so bought a bootleg DVD of the series online and finally rewatched the show. It was magic. Now I think you can buy them on DVD on Amazon. Of course, they are streaming on Paramount Plus. I know that you could find some on YouTube as well. My friend Crystal shared that you could watch some on YouTube. Or that was Pete and Pete, wasn't it? Sorry, Crystal. For some reason, I thought you also said Are You for the Dark? But I know you could find some Pete and Pete episodes, which are really hard to find if you want to rewatch. I have Pete and Pete DVDs, thank goodness. Crystal said her very first episode of Are You for the Dark was last month that she watched it. She says she's an old fart. Not true. She watched The Tale of the Nightly Neighbors and it was fun. I really like The Tale of the Nightly Neighbors. That one's one of my favorites. And I heard good things about the book. I was recently listening to some episodes of one of my favorite podcasts, which is a 90s Nickelodeon podcast called Big Orange Couch Podcast. They're so good. And they were talking about how the Nightly Neighbors book is actually like a really decent book. Somebody who listens to their show emailed and said, "Oh, that book strays away from the episode. It kind of expands on the episode," which makes me want to read it because I actually do have the book. Pax says Snick was great. Look forward to it as a kid every week. Yeah, Snick was awesome. Eli says, watched them as a kid, especially when they were on Snick. Also recorded them on VHS. Oh, I love that. So nostalgic. I wasn't often afraid of the episodes themselves, but the starting terrified me, like the opening. Yeah, I love the opening. So ominous. Such a great vibe and atmosphere that it created. Cameron says, Snick was life. Yes, Snick. John Doe says Quantum Quantum, I can talk. Quantum Leap was his gateway as a kid. Really cool. Jonathan said, I like Twilight Zone, but as a kid, a lot of the themes went over my head. Are You for the Dark reminded me of that style of serialized horror, and I remember recording episodes on VHS. Yes, good stuff, VHS, like I said, to repeat. I love how it's a common thing in the chat right now that people are saying that they recorded it on VHS. So a little bit later, I had my own video camera. I got multiple video cameras as a kid. My first one when I was 8, and it wasn't a camcorder. It was a camcorder, but it recorded through a VHS tape and a VCR. So it wasn't like on the camcorder with like a tape or a disc. It went into your VCR and like you put your blank tape in there, and that's how you recorded videos. Later on, I got like a regular video camera, which used like DV tapes or mini DV tapes, whatever. Anyway, I had or high 8 tapes. I can't remember. I had all of those at one point or another. I had so many video cameras as a kid because I guess I wanted to be a content creator even as a kid, even before it was a thing. I don't know, but was always making videos. But I recorded episodes of Scrubs, the comedy Scrubs, because I was into that from day one. I recorded that like I recorded the TV with my camcorder, which is not a good way to do it. It's better to record through your VCR or some kind of means like that way. I do remember Quantum Leap, John Doe. I didn't really watch it, but I've definitely heard of it. The guy from one of the Star Treks is in it, right? Scott something or other. Am I right, John Doe? I don't know if I'm thinking of the right thing, but I think I am. Oh, and Pax watched the crap out of Quantum Leap. Her words, exactly. And so does Crystal. She remembers Quantum Leap too. Like I said, I've seen some things about it, but I don't think I've actually watched it. All right, so before we get into the main episodes, I still want to hear about you guys' favorite episodes because we're all reminiscing about Snick and the show in general and why it was great. But like, shout out your very favorite episode if you can choose. I understand if it's difficult. As I said, my favorite show or episode of the show as a kid was The Tale of the Pinball Wizard. As an adult now, it's hands down, even with all the new ones I've watched, it's The Tale of the Dead Man's Float. It's so good. It's so good. I rewatched it. As I said, that was one of the ones I revisited in April, and it was so awesome. I was like, it doesn't get old. It still holds up. It's still good. And the effects on that one's very, very decent. And in fact, that is something that the Tale of the Dead Man's Float has in common with the two episodes we're talking about today. The two episodes specifically, just to reiterate, if you're just joining, we'll be discussing the Tale of the Midnight Madness and the Tale of the Ghastly Grinner, both of which I think have wonderful special effects in terms of it being a television show for kids. I mean, some Goosebumps episodes had great special effects, but not all. Same thing with Are You for the Dark as a whole. You got your some of them where you're like, that could have been a little bit better. Cough, cough, the badge. I mean, maybe the badge could have been a little bit differently designed, the creature itself. I still personally love it. Pax, I know you love it, but like, could it have been a little like more less like a human badger and more like a very scary creature? Perhaps. I mean, I don't know. So I really I can't say for sure if it could have been better, but I think technically it could have. So what I'm saying is there's some weak points in terms of effects and some strong points. And I think the episodes today will be discussing some strong points when it comes to effects and really like horrific, creepy episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Some episodes of the show weren't even necessarily that scary. Some were just more atmospheric or a mystery type of story. Like what is it? The Tale of the Dream Girl? Is that one that I'm thinking of that I'm correct? That one never scares me. Like that one I'm just like, what ifs? I mean, like, yes, it's atmospheric, it's good, but I really like the Tale of the Doll Maker. Some people could argue that one's not super creepy, but it is creepy. People turning into dolls looking like freaking frozen little, they're life size dolls. It's disturbing and off putting. So Amber is here. Check out her channel at Secondhand Reader. My favorite episode is The Tale of the Doll Maker. That's why I just shouted that episode out because I saw part of the comment. It was so creepy to little Amber. I had a dollhouse and I think it went in the closet after that. So it was a really effective episode and definitely got to you, Amber, I would think. Halko says Quicksilver is a favorite. Good one. Cameron has a nice little list here. Midnight Madness, Night Shift, The Quicksilver, Dead Man's Float, Prom Queen, The Dream Girl. So sad. Like yes, The Tale of the Dream Girl. Like to me, it's just like that's not my favorite because I like the spookier ones. Ghastly Grinner, Cutter's Treasure, Nightly Neighbors, Dark Music. God, so many. I know. They're like all those are really awesome. Even though I kind of semi bash the Dream Girl, I'm not bashing it. It's just not my favorite because I like to be creeped out, I guess. Because maybe there's something wrong with me and I'm disturbing. I'm sorry my voice is hoarse. I can hear it. Jackie says the tale of the lonely ghost always creeped me out. Yeah, that one's creepy too. Oh yeah, my favorite episode was that one with the "I'm cold" kid. Yeah, like "I'm cold." He just keeps saying "I'm cold." Pax says the vampire from Night Shift was crazy for a kid show. Like the vampire from the Midnight Madness that we're going to talk about today. Of course, it looked like Nosferatu, and it was supposed to look like Nosferatu, but it was effective and really creepy, and they did such a good job, especially with making the vampire come out of the film. That looked so realistic and just well done. It could have looked so flawed, but like they did a really wonderful job with that. Cameron agrees Lonely Ghost scared the crap out of me. Eli says, my wife and I still say I'm cold in the creepy way the kid says it in that episode. I love that. So it's like a little inside joke between you guys. That's awesome and special. My boyfriend doesn't know a thing about Are You Afraid of the Dark. It's so sad. And also many other wonderful old school things. He's just clueless and he's just like, oh, sports, whatevs. But I still like him though. Oh yeah, the badge. So the creature, the badge smiled just like Eddie Murphy. Yeah, I remember when you said that on your video, or it was maybe it was in the live stream we were in for my collab. Yeah, Pax said it there. She said that the creature, the badge, when he smiles, he like smiles like Eddie Murphy. And I was like, oh my god, I could see it. Now once she said it, you could visualize, and yes, it's Eddie Murphy's smile on the badge, and it's incredible. That's making me laugh again. All right, guys, so I just referenced a collab video I did. So if you guys love Are You for the Dark like me and all these people in the chat, and if you're watching after the fact too and you like Are You for the Dark, please check out my collab. I invited a whole bunch of content creators to come on my channel and to tell me different recommendations for books and movies that people could check out that are similar in vibe or tone to any episode of Are You for the Dark that they wanted to talk about. So we had so many great suggestions. Like people were basing suggestions off of like I did the Tale of the Badge and I suggested a book that's similar to that. I suggested a movie that was similar to The Tale of the Crimson Clown, all kinds of stuff. I mean, we had a lot of great answers and I'm just really pleased with how it turned out. And it was a good time. And I really appreciate everyone who participated. Like Cameron in the chat was a part of it, Pax was a part of it, Amber was a part of it. So just very grateful for everyone who was a part of that. And it's linked in my description right now if you guys want to check it out later. And if you like books and movies, then and you like Are You for the Dark, then you could find stuff that fits vibes and they match. If you like this, check out that type of deal. Helga likes the Tale of the Prom Queen. Jackie says mirrors in horror movies creep me out probably because of the lonely ghost. Good point. Yes, that's mirrors can be so creepy in general. Pax says, I thought of that scene when the vampire coming out of the screen for ages when she was going to the movies. Yes. Cameron says, Night Shift and Quicksilver both. Why? Why can't I speak? Both of those episodes had insanely scary jump scares. Yes. Yes. Crystal's got to go. Thank you so much for popping in, Crystal. Appreciate ya. Love ya. Love your channel. Check out her channel once again, Fiber Artsy. She's marvelous. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about the episodes themselves. I keep saying that, but we're going to really dive in now. I do want to promote one thing. I want to promote, if you want even more depth into these episodes, I feel like these two podcasts will do a much better job than me. In fact, it's kind of how I prepped for this chat right now is I went back and re-listened to some episodes of these shows. All right, so I'm going to put this up on the screen right now. So check these people out. These are their Instagram pages. Orange Couch Podcast on Instagram, but the podcast name is Big Orange Couch. And then Splat Attack Podcast on Instagram, and they are Splat Attack. podcast. You can find them both on all podcast platforms. There are two specific episodes of Orange Couch, Big Orange Couch, where they talk about one episode is talking about the tale of the Midnight Madness, the other is talking about the tale of the Ghastly Grinner. They have awesome behind the scenes info. They also interviewed DJ McHale, the creator of Are You for the Dark, and they have like these fun little things where they actually make their own name of the episode. Like they rename the episode and they redo like an intro, like the Midnight Society would do. And at the end, they put out a poll on Instagram and say, which title did you like the best? Like altered title. You get what I'm saying. Such a clever way to discuss episodes, but they don't just review episodes of shows. They do so much more. They write their own episodes. They do versus episodes where they pit two different shows or two different characters or two different episodes of the same show against each other. They have to argue which is best and why. And then there's a third judge who's a part of the episode who has to determine who had the best argument and who wins overall. So that's really cool. Splat Attack Podcast is hosted by two people. One of those people is Brett Wilson. Brett Wilson is an amazing artist and he's a huge fan of Are You for the Dark. So please check out Splat Attack Podcast because if anybody knows about Are You for the Dark, it's Brett. He wrote a whole big freaking book about Are You for the Dark, which I missed out getting a copy. I wish I would have freaking bit the bullet. And when I saw it this one time, and I was like, I'm gonna go and support this later. It was like a GoFundMe project, I think. And I kept meaning to go back and do it. And then by the time I went back, it was closed. And now you can't get the book. But what I'm mean is I'm saying this because he knows so much that he was able to write a book about Are You for the Dark with all these tidbits and stuff like that. So just really great information you could find from these two podcasts. And I really think, especially Big Orange Couch, they specifically reviewed these two episodes I'm going to talk about today. So I'm going to be rather vague and I'm going to try to be specific as I can be, but I just feel like I don't want to copy what they did because I learned a lot of stuff from them and I don't want to just repeat it. I'd rather you guys go listen to their podcast episode. And same thing with Splat Attack. They've done a lot of great episodes where they pit Goosebumps episodes versus similar Are You for the Dark episodes and kind of like, talk about each one and how they're different and alike. I think that's great too. So I highly recommend both, like I said, before we get into anything else. All right, I'm back up. Hello again. Cameron says, who is your favorite Midnight Society member? Everyone shout out yours below. I mean, is there an answer besides Betty Ann? Like, is there a correct answer besides that? I mean, I would say Betty Ann, of course. I think she has some of the best stories. And of course, one of her stories, I believe her story was the tale of the Ghastly Grinner. Funnily enough, the tale of the Midnight Madness is a great story, and it's told by Frank. And I don't like Frank. I think Frank is a punk. Frank is so he's not politically correct, I will tell you that. In some of the episodes, which episode was it? He was bothering one of the other members of the society and was like hassling them for like a date, and he was like, why are you trying to act like a boy because someone was trying to carry firewood? Anyway, I don't like Frank. But I do like Frank's story, The Tale of the Midnight Madness. But yes, I'm not into Frank. I don't know why, but Betty Ann's where it's at. She just has a lot of creative stories. She's wonderful. Pax says kind of liked Kristen. Kristen was good too. Yeah, that's a good answer. I'm just kidding when I said that there's no other right answer besides Betty Ann. Of course, there's other good answers and correct answers. Whatever you think is your favorite is correct. I'm just being all like, oh, trying to be funny, I guess. All right, I'll read you some of my notes, but before I do that, and this is something that the Big Orange Couch podcast does, they give the ratings. So the Tale of the Midnight Madness on IMDb, it's got an 8.6 out of 10 rating, 954 ratings out of, that's how they got the number. So I think that's not so bad. The essential premise, which I'm assuming you guys know if you're tuning in for this chat, Dr. Vink helps an old movie theater in danger of closing by showing a special version of the vampire classic Nosferatu. And I really like it, and it was cool how they had so many similar elements to Nosferatu in terms of the design of the vampire. But when he comes out of that screen, it's just like I said before, the effect was so perfect, especially for a kid show like on cable TV. It was just so well done. I was kind of blown away by it as an adult revisiting it. I was like, wow, this is better than I thought it was, even as a kid. Cameron says Betty Ann and Kiki are his faves. Yeah, Kiki was awesome too. I liked her. She had spunk. Amber says, I really liked Betty Ann. She seemed like someone I would have hung out with as a kid. I really liked Kristen as well. I liked Kristen too. Betty Ann has some nice sweaters and like outfits too, and she's always very thematic. And I just really like Betty Ann. I don't know. I'm obsessed with Betty Ann. Funnily enough, Big Orange Couch, those hosts, they like Betty Ann quite a bit too. All right, so my notes. I love the intro, where I say I love it. It's not the greatest intro. I feel like the intro for like the Crimson Clown's really good and some other episodes, but this one's decent too. You sitting in that movie theater for so long, you start to forget that the real world even exists. The only thing that seems real is the horror movie up on the screen, which reminds me a lot of different books I've been reading in April, like the idea of horror coming to life, horror in a book or in a movie, like becoming real, like the stories aren't safe, like they can take on a life of their own type of deal. I feel like I had this whole theme running through not only like the shows I watched but the books I read in April that had that in common, not every single one but a lot of them. So I really liked that intro in terms of it made me think of all the other things I was reading and watching at the time. Um so our main character's name is Pete, and yeah, he's trying to save the Rialto Theater, and they only make 6 freaking bucks one of the nights, and that's insane. And some of the money is made just from Pete buying a drink himself. It's like, man, how can a theater survive on 6 bucks? Even back in the '90s, that's nothing. So of course, Dr. Vink shows up, which I love. I think he's so theatrical, such a fantastic character. Perfect for this episode. Really feels like he fits in like the vibe of an old school theater. Like it works so perfectly, him being in that theater. Especially because his like flowing cloak really seems to just be perfect and thematic for the theater. It's like, I don't know, old school theater, cloaks, magicians, theater masters, even like theater as in not just a movie theater, but a stage theater. Just capes seem to go with all of that. Eli says he likes Kiki in terms of the Midnight Society. Yeah, as I said, Kiki's got spunk. But here we're talking about mean old Frank and his story. Frank's just such a like a jerk sometimes. It'd be nice to see if Frank learned his lesson and how Frank turned out, like as an adult later in life. Oh, and before I get further talking about the Midnight Madness, has anyone watched the reboot? Now, I'm talking about like the mini series that was like about the carnival. Did anybody else watch that and what did you think? Big Orange Couch, I believe they didn't like it. I remember listening to their thoughts on that like a long time ago. I personally didn't mind it. It was different, but it paid homage to the feeling of the original, but still made it its own. And it was kind of unique in that, like, the story that they were telling, the Midnight Societies, their stories, they were like coming into their life. So it kind of fits into the idea of this episode, The Tale of the Midnight Madness, some kind of story element coming into life. And I like that. I gravitate towards that. So I didn't mind the reboot too much. I mean, it's not the original show, but you've got to have certain expectations that it's not going to be the same. You've got to know that going in. And that's what I felt going in. Now, if your expectations were high and you were like, it's just going to be like, when I was a kid, it's going to have that same feel and vibe and tone, then that's where you're setting yourself up for disappointment, in my opinion. All right. What other notable things do I have here? Yes, Vink's entrance and his face reveal is epic. And I love how this is one of the, like, I think he says this more than once he said it in a different episode in this episode. I am not a nutbag. like people call them nutbags. And I love that insult, by the way. I think it's a great insult. Why aren't we calling people nutbags today? I don't know. It sounds like an insult that little Pete would come up with from the Adventures of Pete and Pete. Nutbag. Like it just sounds like a perfect thing that little Pete would say. But yeah, here we've got people calling poor Dr. Vink. I say poor. He is kind of menacing and sinister in a way, but in a playful way. But people are calling Dr. Vink a nutbag, and I kind of feel bad that he's being called that, but he hears it and he dismisses it like, I am not a nutbag. Swish, swish of my cape type of deal. And another great quote from this episode, I'm sure you guys know, I don't want your popcorn money. Like, I love that. Jonathan asks, was Frank a nutbag? Hell yeah, he was a nutbag. Is he still a nutbag is the question. Has he grown out of his nutbag phase or not? I don't know. I'd love to speculate about that. It'd be fun to read some fan fiction about grown-up Frank, but also it could possibly be disturbing depending on how Frank turned out. Like, could Frank be a like a serial killer? I'm getting so giddy thinking about the possibilities of a story about grown-up Frank because it's so absurd and out there that I can't even speak correctly. Vink in the Dangerous Soup episode was terrifying. Yeah. Also, Dr. Vink actually makes an appearance in an Are You Afraid of the Dark book that I read last month. So the book that I read 3 books last month for Old School April that were all Are You Afraid of the Dark books. One of them was The Tale of the why can't I talk today? The Tale of the Deadly Diary. That one was really good. It's the best Are You Afraid of the Dark book that I've read so far, and it had Dr. Vink in it, which I thought was marvelous to see an actual character from the show in the book. Now, other books, Are You Afraid of the Dark books, they do have an intro and like an epilogue that have the characters like the Midnight Society. So it has a little intro and like some of them it says, "My name's Betty Ann and this is my tale." But it doesn't feel like a real intro and a real outro for the episode. It feels a little bit forced, like they just put it in there no matter, no matter what, they just were trying to squeeze it into the book. However, the Dr. Vink thing being in the book, that felt like it fit and it really was awesome. I liked the story itself, but I also liked the appearance of a character from the show that wasn't just a Midnight Society member type of thing. All right, so I even made a note as I've been saying this whole stream. In the Tale of the Midnight Madness, it seriously has one of the best effects in any Are You for the Dark episode when the vampire steps out of the movie screen. I gave it a 5 out of 5. Great episode all around. What would you guys rate the Tale of the Midnight Madness on a scale of 1 to 5 stars? I think a lot of you, it seems like you really liked the episode and you would give it a or close to a 5. If it's not a 5 for you, what would you say is a drawback for you that keeps it from being a perfect episode of Are You for the Dark? I really can't think of too many things. Like, of course, we've got some non-scary sequences in the episode. We've got Pete. I keep forgetting. Yes, it's definitely Pete. Pete going around handing out flyers, trying to save the Rialto. Pete kind of flirting with his coworker. I like that. I like those little instances of lightness and it was almost like character development, which I enjoyed. I felt like we definitely knew these characters and we got to see their chemistry kind of grow as the episode went on, which I didn't think they had good chemistry in the beginning, but I could kind of buy it. And it seemed like they got closer, or at least like their chemistry got better on screen as the episode went on. So, yeah, definitely a good episode for me. Pax says definitely a 5 for her. Cameron says 5 out of 5. Yeah, 5 out of 5 for me because it was just so well done. And I will say, I think one of the things that the Big Orange Couch people said was that, like, you could technically criticize that somehow Pete knows right away. One of the first things he tries is jumping into the movie screen and going into the film to try to, rectify the whole situation and get Nosferatu back into the film. So it's like he kind of comes to the conclusion that he could just step through the movie himself rather quickly. I guess that could technically be a negative, but I found that kind of fun. And, if you're a kid, you've got a better imagination than us adults. So maybe a kid would think of that a little bit quicker. I say kid, I mean like preteen. It's still kind of like a kid. Cameron says the two leads were cute with their flirting. Yeah, I really liked their little flirting. But she was so quick to say she was busy when Pete asked her out at the beginning of the episode. He's like, "Are you busy?" I can't remember exactly what he said, but she's like, "No, I've got homework." Like really quickly and just flat out like, "No." It was like the whole "I've got to wash my hair" thing. It just didn't feel believable that she had homework, but I'm sure she did. But anyway, so luckily their chemistry got better and their flirting like ramped up throughout the episode. I usually don't like romance in different things, but it worked in this episode. Amber gives it 5 stars. Loved Nosferatu, the original silent movie, as a kid, so I liked the vibes, and I was obsessed with vampires, so it was everything. Yeah, that's a great point, Amber. And it was such a wonderful nod to the actual film Nosferatu. Jonathan says he needs to rewatch it and get back to us because he doesn't remember the details. I think you'll enjoy it if you rewatch it, Jonathan, because I very much enjoyed it, and actually, it surprised me by how good the effects were. Like I remember they were decent, but I didn't remember how decent they actually were. Cameron says we all have to wash our hair eventually, so if the girl's excuse was to wash her hair, I mean, it has to be a real excuse at some point because we do need to wash our hair at one point or another. I do agree with that. I will say a piece of information that I gained from the Big Orange Couch podcast, which I re-listened to. I had listened to their review of Midnight Madness a long, long time ago. I re-listened to it yesterday while I was bike riding. 13 miles, my legs were dead. My legs were like jelly when I got off. I was like, how did I do this? And why? My legs were like screaming all night long. But the whole bike ride was very nice because I listened to the episode while I was riding. And one of the things I learned was this was one of the last times we get an interruption of the Midnight Society within the tale. So they used to do this in the beginning of Are You for the Dark, where sometimes it would cut back to Are You for the Dark, and I mean, it would cut back to the Midnight Society, or like it would have a voiceover of the Midnight Society while we're in the tale. But that stopped happening. I think this was the last instance of that happening, of like an interruption of the Midnight Society within the tale. So I found that to be interesting, and thank you, Big Orange Couch, for that info. And like I said, I really am not like blowing smoke up you guys' butts or anything, which is very crude, but I am being 100% sincere when I say Splat Attack and Big Orange Couch. If you love 90s Nickelodeon, you are doing yourself a disservice by not checking out these podcasts. I mean, when I found Big Orange Couch, it like blew my mind. And this was like years ago. Actually, Big Orange Couch is the reason that I changed gears from wrestling to like I was still doing wrestling at the time, but I listened to their podcast. I was like, oh my god, I could talk about things I love, like nostalgia in an educated and analytical and fun and creative way. Like, oh my god. And so I started to develop things like inspired by their podcast. Like I do this either or video series, or used to. I haven't done it in a while, but I picked two things that I love against each other, and that was directly inspired from Big Orange Couch and their versus episodes. It's a little different because I don't have a judge, and it's basically me picking between two things versus two people arguing, one for one thing, the other person for another thing, and then a judge determining who argued the best. So it's a little different, but it was totally inspired by them, and my whole kind of direction, like with my channel, changed because of them, because I finally discovered you can talk about, things that are fun and pop culture and nostalgic, and do it in like an educated, awesome, entertaining way. So that is why I promote them to hell, because I just think they're underrated, and so is Splat Attack. They're more new. Splat Attack's more new, but it's still worth checking out as well. Like I said, Brett is an expert, and he's actually guest appeared on episodes of Big Orange Couch. So they've got a connection between the two podcasts as well. So yes, Big Orange Couch can give you a lot more info and fun, unfortunately, than I can. I mean, I would kill if they would have been on this, but they don't show their faces. Like nobody really knows. They look like it's a big joke. Or at least like when I used to listen more regularly, that's what they would always talk about, how like they're not going to be seen ever on camera or anything. I don't know if it's still the case, but they just released an episode about Doug that I'm going to listen to. I'm very excited about that. It's going to be a fun one to check out. All right, so next let's move on to the tale of the Ghastly Grinner. And this one, in my opinion, isn't as perfect as an episode as the Tale of the Midnight Madness, because I feel like there are more things you can nitpick with the Tale of the Ghastly Grinner. However, does it affect my personal rating of the episode? No. I love this episode, even with its flaws. And we'll talk about its flaws in a second. Like, really, mainly what I mean is there are confusing plot points to the Tale of the Ghastly Grinner. Sometimes you're left scratching your head and you're like, why is the microwave even involved in this at all? What does the microwave have to do with anything? At one point, the microwave makes things happen. The next point, the microwave does not work to set things back normal. So it's all very weird and confusing. But having said that, as I said before, it doesn't affect how I feel about the episode, because it's still really awesome. Still some great effects with the blue goo dripping out of people's mouths and the eyes and everything. Ugh. What do you guys think about the Tale of the Ghastly Grinner? Is it one of your favorites? One of your just episodes, like it's a meh episode in the middle, or one of your bottom tier episodes? Shout out your opinions about this episode. I want to hear about it. Because as you guys know, it's not just about my opinion, it's about you guys' opinions. Let me take a sip of my water. I'm dying here. All right, this one got an 8.0 out of 10 rating on IMDb. out of 657 ratings. That's interesting. So a little bit less than The Tale of the Midnight Madness, if we're going by IMDb, which in the grand scheme of things really doesn't mean anything. But I just find it interesting to look at what people have to say, etc., etc. All right, I'm back. So essentially, the premise, I'm sure most of you know if you're joining me for this, a young comic book fan slash artist unleashes a villain from a rare comic book who turns people into laughing zombies. It literally calls them zombies. That's funny. That's just the IMDb description. By the way, so our main character, Ethan, his hair is so greasy. Like, of course, at the beginning, it's like full of rain, but like his hair was driving me crazy. Like, dude, brush your hair or like dry your hair or wash your hair. As we were talking about washing hair, that's who needs to be washing their hair is poor old Ethan. Ethan, he's getting rejection letters from comic book publishers left and right. No one wants to accept his artwork, even though his artwork is rather impressive. And it's kind of sad that he's so young and already getting rejection letters left and right. You know, if the whole experience with the Ghastly Grinner didn't happen, because we know at the end of the episode he makes his own comic and he's very well off and famous in a way, and he's kind of made it. But if that hadn't happened, you know, he would have had a freaking hard road to go, and how cynical would he have turned out with all these rejection letters from such an early age? I don't know. We can only speculate, but it's fun to think about. But also sad because we wouldn't want Ethan to be all cynical and to fail in life. Cameron says the tale of the Ghastly Grinner is silly and cheesy and kind of dumb sometimes, but I love all those things. And it has so much creepiness. It's like an old school comic in so many ways. And that is a great point, Cameron. And yes, it definitely has a comic vibe, and that's obviously on purpose. You've got the awesome like segues between scenes where they do that random guitar riff where it's like, I can't even do it. I was gonna do like but it's not like that. It's like it's more corny than that. They also have like a page turning effect for different scenes, and then the artwork when Ethan is looking at the art and the Ghastly Grinner is like attacking his parents, and he sees his parents drawn on the piece of paper with goo. That's just so well done. Like, in the art itself that is shown is well done too. And it's an episode that references other Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes, which I love. Like, another one that does that is The Tale of the Crimson Clown, references The Tale of Laughing in the Dark. So this one, I think, it definitely references, I think, The Tale of the Dark Magic, maybe? I know it references a whole bunch of different episodes with different things in the comic book store that Ethan goes to. By the way, what did you guys think of the nickname Cakes? So Ethan goes to this comic book store, he meets the owner, and she keeps calling him Cakes for some reason. And I was just laughing when Big Orange Couch, they were talking about the episode and they kept talking about how, she calls him Cakes, and what is she, like a 50s greaser, but or like somebody from a mob movie? How you doing, Cakes? I don't know. It's great. Thanks for joining, Amber. Loved seeing ya. Appreciate ya. Have a good rest of the evening. Everyone check out Amber's channel, Secondhand Reader. You saw her channel name right here. Great channel. Also another channel to check out, Pax, right here. If I could point to the right side of the screen, you guys can see. Pax Panic, great channel as well. Also, really, really into Are You Afraid of the Dark. She knows her stuff when it comes to Are You Afraid of the Dark. Hooper, yeah, I can't even say like, yes, the name is great. And I was saying it before I came on here, but I knew once I got on the live that I wouldn't be able to pronounce the name. But yes, Hooper, her first and last name are great. Such a great character name. And Pax says she'll remember the name forever. So good. Eli says, I think it's a decent episode, but a bit overrated in his opinion, as it's often near the top of people's lists. So it's not my favorite, but I do really like it. Will I give it a 5 out of 5? I guess I could give it a 4.5 out of 5. I guess the thing that makes it not absolutely perfect is the confusion with the microwave. It's like 1 second, randomly, Ethan's comic book is put into a fish tank by his teacher. Worst teacher ever, by the way. So mean, so terrible. But I guess he wants Ethan to pay attention. It is what it is. Such a 90s thing. Ethan goes home, microwaves the freaking comic book. Then shit goes to hell because the parents have too many things plugged in. So it's not just microwaving it that makes things happen. It's microwaving it and the microwave being overloaded with like plugs, like the electricity being overloaded. By the way, this is something I thought of when I was rewatching the episode. So if any of you guys have seen this movie, let me know if you think that this is similar. So the Time Bandits, which is an old school, I think it's from the 80s. It's definitely an old school movie, and it's a kids movie. And I say it's a kids movie, but it's also rather disturbing and bleak, super bleak for a kids movie. One of the members of Monty Python, which is one of my favorite comedy troupes of all time, they're a British comedy troupe. They are incredible, and one of the members directed the movie. Funnily enough, George Harrison of the Beatles helped fund the movie as a producer. So, yes, if you look at Time Bandits, the VHS, I believe George Harrison is on the back as a producer. So Time Bandits, the parents in the Time Bandits of the little boy reminded me so much of the parents in The Tale of the Ghastly Grinner, because what they have in common is that the Time Bandits parents, they're obsessed with like appliances and TV, and just, they're always like, go to bed, get your heads out of the clouds to their son. Same thing with The Tale of the Ghastly Grinner. The parents are like, get your head out of those comic books, and like comic books are such an addiction. And it's ironic that the parents are saying that in The Tale of the Ghastly Grinner, because they're clearly addicted to their appliances and to their TV shows. And so they're worse than Ethan. I mean, there's nothing redeeming about what they're doing, and they're just not even supportive. So they're even worse because of that. But oh my God, they reminded me so much of the Time Bandits parents. And I never made that connection as a kid, even though I had seen both things as a kid. I only made the connection recently, like last month. And I was like, holy shit, it's so similar. And not to give away anything, but like at the end of the Time Bandits, there's like this explosion and this fire. I'm not going to tell like what happens or anything, but and it's so much like how the Ghastly Grinner comes to life. Like there's an overload of circuits, shit happens, and there's no Ghastly Grinner in the Time Bandits, but it's still like a similar thing with things being overloaded and something bad happening. So it's so much like it, in my opinion. I don't know. You guys are gonna have to check out both things and tell me if you think that that's a stretch or if you could see it too. Someone called Cameron cakes earlier today and he didn't like it. Did they really? Who? Like someone at work or a random person? Or a friend. I mean, you don't have to say exactly who, but I don't know anyone who uses the word cakes in real life besides having heard it in the show episode. I've not once heard anyone call anyone cakes. Like like Big Orange Couch said, it does remind me of like gangsters, like something that a mob person would say. I don't know, Cameron, are you running with some mob bosses over there where you are? I know you're not. I'm just joking. Jonathan says sometimes they go too far with that child empowerment narrative. Imagine being a kid and thinking grown-ups are dumb. Well, I think they were just trying to say that sometimes grown-ups aren't always right. I mean, Nickelodeon's whole slogan was, you know, kids are going to be kids, and it's like TV for kids. I don't know. It was about empowering kids, and I guess in a way it could have gone too far. But I don't know. I think kids are smart enough to know that it wasn't saying to disobey your parents or to look at them like they didn't know what they were ever talking about. I just think it was a cartoonish portrayal of parents, and an exaggerated one, but I don't think that kids would be confused by it. I think that they could separate that it's an exaggeration versus they have to still respect their own parents, of course. Jackie says the Grinner is an iconic Are You for the Dark villain. I feel like that is why the episode is liked so much. I agree, Jackie, because we could nitpick the story all day. With all of a sudden, like Ethan gets pulled into the comics after he finishes drawing it. The microwave they tried to use didn't work. Ethan's trapped in there, and Hooper's got to end up erasing the Ghastly Grinner, and that's what solves it all of a sudden, with no rhyme or reason in between. We're like, what? Doesn't matter. The visual of the Ghastly Grinner and of the victims of the Ghastly Grinner is what is iconic and awesome and eye catching and just very awesome, and sticks with you. Definitely has a lasting effect, I think, on kids who saw it back in the day. And like you said, I think that's why it's liked so much. Also another thing, the bus driver. The bus driver's head going all the way around. That's what I mean by this one having good effects. That was a great effect there. I just think the goo was really well done in general. Very, very cool. Very thematic episode. Really felt like a comic book, on the screen. And that was what they were going for. And I think mission accomplished, minus some weird story problems. Like I said, I still give it a fairly high rating, 4.5 out of 5. I don't think that's bad. I was gonna say, I don't think that ain't bad, but no, that's not what I mean. That ain't bad. So that's what I meant. The driver freaked me the F out. I know, the bus driver, oh my god, the freaking head. It was classic, and I was really surprised that was in a kid show. Like, that's kind of extreme for a kid show, but, like, I love how Nickelodeon didn't always, talk down to kids with their shows. I just think it was such a great channel overall. Such one like, if you look at Rocco, Ren and Stimpy, like that was revolutionary at the time. Like now, kids shows are kind of zany and out there, but they wouldn't have never gotten that way had it not been for Ren and Stimpy and Rocco and shows that paved the way. Like even shows on Cartoon Network that were like that. I mean, I just don't think shows today would have been like they are without that. Personally, I don't know. You guys, what do you guys think about that in terms of Nickelodeon and its effect on kids' TV and its effect overall? In pop culture and in our generation, like who are now grown ups and stuff. There are some great books out there about Nickelodeon and the impact as well. By the way, if you guys are interested in more about Nickelodeon, now everyone talks about the book, the booked. I would love it if I could speak like I'm an educated person, which I technically am, but I cannot talk tonight. It's my voice. But the book everyone talks about is Slimed. Now, where is it? I think it's in my closet for some reason. I might want to go grab it. But Slimed is a great book. It's all these interviews with different Nickelodeon stars, but also people behind the scenes. What I don't like about that book, and it's a big drawback of the book, is that it never says the people, like it'll just say the actor's name or the person behind the scenes name. It doesn't say what show they worked on. It doesn't say the character they played. Like I know Keenan Thompson, but I don't know every single person. Like I know Danny Temporelli, but I don't know every single person ever, their real name, who were characters on flippin' Nickelodeon shows. So when you're going through the book, it gets rather confusing because you're just like, who is this person again? Who did they play? At least that's how it was for me. I didn't read the whole book yet. I still have to go back and finish it. I know there's a lot of great info in that book though. Again, it's called Slimed. That is a good one, but no one ever talks about Nickelodeon Nation, which has all these awesome like academic articles about the impact and influence about Nickelodeon. And the articles are about different things. So like one's about Rugrats, one's about I think one's about SpongeBob, but that's a great book that I don't think anybody talks about in terms of Nickelodeon history analysis. I think it's a good one. And yes, this is the documentary I was referring to. Cameron comes through with the name. The documentary, The Orange Years, was fantastic for showing the impact of the channel and how it impacted pop culture. Yes, yes. Totally agree. I love the Orange Years. Now I can't remember. I know the Orange Years either concentrated a lot on live action or on animated. It concentrated on one thing over the other. It featured both, but I do think it leaned heavily to one or the other. I can't remember which though. It's been a long time since I saw it. It was brand new when I saw it. Jackie says the Orange Years was so good. Yes, I really loved it. I love the art style of it too. Like really well done, very nostalgic. It looked just so great, very well edited. Oh, Pack said she wanted to get a giant eraser after the episode. Yes, for big mistakes. By the way, guys, so they make a replica comic book cover that looks like the comic of the Ghastly Grinner comic from the episode. I don't have it, but I bought one for Cameron because I was like, Cameron needs this for his library. Like, I need to get this for Cameron. I thought it would be cool. So I don't know why I didn't buy myself one because a lot of times I'll get Cameron stuff that I already have, but this time I got him something that I was like, this is really cool. I kind of want this, but I just sent it off to Cameron from the Etsy seller. So anyway, it's really cool. It looks just like the comic book in the show. And not only did they replicate the cover, they replicated the back cover. So on the back cover of the comic in the episode, you could see like a Ren and Stimpy advertisement that's actually like in the episode, like on the comic book. So it's almost like a self-referential meta type of thing. And it's meta too because the episode, like I said, it has like these cutouts of other Are You Afraid of the Dark villains in the comic book store in the episode. I just love how Are You Afraid of the Dark did that, where it referenced other episodes within certain episodes. It's like meta stuff. I love meta stuff. Cameron says he loves the Ghastly Grinner comic. I'm so glad you like it. I just thought, it would be perfect for the library. Pack says, I know many people have soft spots for their childhood, but I think that the Nick of the 90s has proven to have staying power, and that in itself speaks to its innovation. So well said, Pax. I actually totally agree with you because, I said in one of my videos, but if you're new here, people look at nostalgia in one of two ways. One, oh, it's overhyped, dangerous. Nostalgia could be like looking through rose colored glasses where everything seems like it was better than it actually was. So it's a twisted and warped way of looking at things. I do not think of nostalgia that way. I think of nostalgia of like it's a great time to look back on, but even beyond that, take away whatever you think about nostalgia. I think the shows are actually freaking darn good. And as Pax says, you could see its staying power that it's had, and that just shows you how innovative and creative and clever it was. It's just fantastic stuff that they were coming up with. Like Nickelodeon Nation, when they talk about like the birth of the channel and how they wanted to do stuff that was different than just back in the day, shows that just were about toys. Basically, a TV show was made for kids a lot of times just to surround like a toy line. That was really big in the 80s. So in the 90s, the head of Nickelodeon, and she was a woman, by the way, she was a badass woman. And she was like, I want to have different type of shows, and I want us to have our own library. We don't have to buy other people's shows. We can make our own, like our own Nicktoons that we could have forever, and we could make our own money off of it. And we don't have to pay to run other things like Looney Tunes, let's say, because for a while Nickelodeon did have to pay to run Looney Tunes on the channel. And then Looney Tunes, like, it would have been more expensive when they tried to renew. So they're like, let's do our own stuff. And they just started to think about different ways to do it. And the bumpers in between the episodes of shows, like, even that was creative and unique. If you guys remember Inside Out Boy, Inside Out Boy is so good. It's so good. Like, I remember it very well because it's on the VHSs of, like, my Rugrats and Ren and Stimpy. There's, like, a few episodes of Inside Out Boy. Oh, it's so good. Just so well made. It's like claymation, and it's this guy, and you gotta have guts, and kind of like the show Guts, but in a way, in terms of a similar catchphrase. But so well done. So I think yes, nostalgia can make you look at things that are not that good as it's good, but I don't believe that's the case when we talk about Nickelodeon as a whole, and also Are You for the Dark as a show. My childhood was very dark, and it was stuff like Nick, Disney, Goosebumps, and Halloween that got me through it. I latched onto those things as a kid, and I appreciate them now for being there for me, says Cameron. That is such a great and wonderful point, Cameron. I mean, I think that's why sometimes we look back so fondly on these things, is because they helped us get through times as a kid, and also even like times that weren't hard. If some people just had like it reminds people of a more simple time for some people too. I have it like both ways. Like some parts were hard, and then I had those things as an escape, you know, as an escapism type of thing. I cannot talk at all today. And then other people, they just, it reminds them of a nice simple time where they enjoyed life and they didn't have to pay bills and stuff. What was the show that had Prometheus and Bob? Oh yeah, Kablam. Kablam. I used to dislike Kablam a little bit. Like whenever Kablam was on, I don't know why as a kid I would like change the channel. I was like, I hate Kablam. But I did like the Action League, what is it? Action League Now? With the naked action figure guy. That was hilarious. Why was that on a kid show? Why was that on a kid show? I don't know, but it was great. Are You for the Dark also, I think, showed a new group of kids that it was cool to like some spooky stuff. Yeah, I think Goosebumps and Are You for the Dark really made the 90s a great time for people to discover they like spooky things and to kind of get that seed growing in like future horror lovers' minds. Like, ooh, I like this. I'm gonna grow up to love horror. So I just think it had a lot of things to offer people that have shaped people's lives today. I just think that's so cool. Let me see. It's bothering me. I want to see if I have that book real fast. Hold on 2 seconds, guys. Where is it? Oh, here we go. All right. All right, I found it. I found both things. All right, so Slimed by Matthew Klickstein. So it is a good book. I have to finish it to really give my full. But as you can see, this is what I'm talking about. You see the names? There's nothing like what show they're from, what character they played. That's what I don't like, and that's what's kind of hindered me from finishing it. but it looks at the design, fashion, and technology. How did they get Nickelodeon to look so Nickelodeon? The music and sound, what the hell is he singing about in Pete and Pete theme song? The diversity. So lots of tidbits in here. I've got to get back to this and actually finish this. But the one I'm referencing that you can see I have my tabs in it from like years ago, Nickelodeon Nation. And this is compiled by Heather Hendershot. And my favorite that I this is back when I highlighted things. Oh my god, this book is expensive. Why did I highlight it? Like if you look for this book now, I think it's hard to find. Why did I do this? What the hell? The Early Days of Nickelodeon by Linda Semeski. And this is where like it talks about the creation of the first 3 Nicktoons, which all debuted on the same day, by the way. And the original 3, we've got, of course, Ren and Stimpy, Rugrats, and Doug. A great main 3 to start off with, of course. But of course, I mean, I don't mean to keep talking about the animated block of Nickelodeon. We had the great live action shows like Are You Afraid of the Dark? I mean, Flippin' Salute Your Shorts was so good. And then later on, all that and Keenan and Kel. Oh, so much goodness. I don't know. It's hard to not like think it was the greatest kids TV channel ever back then and the greatest era for kids TV. Like I guess I am biased, okay? But it just seems like it's hard to argue with that fact though. When you really think about like what some of the people went and did afterwards, like Kenan Thompson now on SNL, like one of the longest running members ever, it's just I don't know, it's awesome. Anyway, highly recommended. I cannot believe I highlighted this. I mean, weren't tabs enough, Kelsi? I guess not. Or past Kelsi? Ridiculous. But there's a lot of good stuff in here that just focuses on different things. Trying to get to the contents. Where are you? Nickelodeon's Nautical Nonsense, the intergenerational appeal of SpongeBob SquarePants. I think that'll be a good one to read. I haven't read that one fully yet. That one, my dad loves SpongeBob, so that's a good one to look at because, I was younger and he was an adult, but he watched SpongeBob longer than me. So I think that says something about SpongeBob. I think SpongeBob, the best season, though, was the first season. It did go downhill after that. Ren and Stimpy fan culture and corporate strategy. Watching children watch television and the creation of Blue's Clues. We Pledge Allegiance to Kids, Nickelodeon and Citizenship. Nickelodeon Grown-Ups, the economic evolution of a network. A kid's gotta do what a kid's gotta do. Branding the Nickelodeon experience. TV satisfaction guaranteed. Nick at Night and TV Land's adult attractions. I do like that there's a article about Nick at Night, which no one ever talks about anymore. I've got Nick at Night earrings, but I don't have them on. I should have worn my Are You Afraid of the Dark earrings, but all right, guys, we're winding down. Remember, if you haven't already shouted out your opinions about the Tale of the Midnight Madness or the Tale of the Ghastly Grinner, shout them out in the comments right now before I sign off. Anything else you want to share about the show in general or about the channel in general? Now, I don't have this linked below, but I'll go back and link it. I have a long chat about 90s Nickelodeon where I do quote a lot of the Nickelodeon Nation book, and I talk about all the shows from 90s Nickelodeon. It's called Kelsi Likes 90s Nickelodeon, and it was a live stream I did about 2 years ago. And I start off by talking about the 90s in general, and I even talk a little bit about Pee-wee's Playhouse because I think that's the first show that really started to change kids' TV. Of course, it's not Nickelodeon, but I still talk about how that was important too, and that it almost has a similar vibe in that it didn't talk down to kids. It like did its own thing. It was very creative and artistic, just like Nickelodeon. So it had some similarities there. But of course, Nickelodeon started, revolutionizing TV right after that. So I talk about all of that, and then I go really in depth about just Nickelodeon in general in that stream. So if you guys want to check it out, it's one of my favorite streams I've ever done. Besides my Free Willy stream, I always talk about my 90s Nickelodeon stream. Pack says, I've watched kids entertainment now. I have to constantly remind myself that I came up in an age of kid TV greatness. It just isn't the same. I know, but it's like, are we blind to like that kids TV now could be good? Or like, if we'd never watched Rugrats as a kid, would we think it's good now? Or if we'd never ever watched Are You Afraid of the Dark and just turned on an episode as an adult, would we think it's good? Now, Crystal, who was in here earlier but had to go, she had never watched it till last April, like last month. She said it was fun, so she has no bias. Pack says, Kelsi, no joke. You are the friend I always wanted to have to watch Nicktoons with back in the day. That would have been really fun because I am the only person who stayed nostalgic for the 90s, like right after the 90s ended. Like in 2001, I was like, let's have like a 90s party with my friends. And they're like, okay, whatever, Kelsey. I'm like, the 90s, don't you miss it? It's 2001 at that point. Now, the early 2000s are fun too to look back on because there's a lot of absurd and fun things and like the launch of AIM and instant messenger, all of that. That is fun to look back on too in a different way, but 90s kid stuff is just marvelous and special. Jonathan says, "No, seriously, kids' TV today is bad. Have you seen the new TMNT renditions? I know, yes, the animation's terrible, and the new Rugrats. What do you guys think about the new Rugrats? Like, do you like the animation style? I hate it. I hate it. It's like an atrocity. It's like it's terrible. It's just it's a sin, honestly. Like I hate it. I hate it. I've seen some people who like Rugrats, like they liked them as a kid. So they would have the same bias as me. And they like the new animation, but I'm like, I cannot get over it. I hate it. It's like, why did they do it? Why couldn't they just draw it in the same style? Like, why? Cameron agrees. The new Rugrats look awful. It is. Chronic Snake 82, how was the Rocco return? Lots of people like the new Rocco. I don't know, it didn't feel the same for me. I did like it was at least closer to the original show than Rugrats. And like, at least the original creators were involved, but like I still didn't totally dig the new Rocco. I know you guys are probably gonna kill me. That's a very reboot is the new Rocco. Or it's not new as in like it's a whole new show. It was a new movie they made in the same universe. It just I don't know. I just couldn't like it the same. Rocco's one of my favorites. Like if you ask me what are my two favorite Nicktoons, it's Rugrats and Rocco, like hands down. So easily it beats everything else. Like Doug, I liked a lot, but the first three seasons of Rugrats I held up to, but the first three seasons basically are my favorite. I don't really like Rugrats after that, but the first three seasons and all of Rocco, great stuff. You can't get better than that. They had other great gems that are underrated, like Our Monsters and stuff of that nature, but yeah, I don't know. You just can't beat that stuff anymore. So I don't know. What did you guys think about the Rocco return? Did you see it? Did you like it? How about the new Hey Arnold, which I actually have not seen the Hey Arnold movie. I've heard mixed things about that. So I don't know. I don't know. I love talking to you guys about 90s Nickelodeon. It's such a joy. I wish I could do it all night if only my voice could hold up. But as you could see, I'm mumbling and bumbling through this whole thing that was so important to me. But I wish I could keep going if my voice wasn't this way. But I really feel like I should cut it short soon because I'm dying here. I'm blaming it on that bike ride from yesterday, the 13-mile jelly-legged bike ride. Because it's really I've not been the same since then. Spiderweb cup. We're more than halfway to Halloween now, so it's okay to use a Halloweenish cup, right? I think so. To me, yes. Also, I wanted to show you guys. Oh, my friend Benjamin. He gave me Reptar bars. He also gave Cameron Reptar bars, which is awesome. But I've never tried one. I still haven't tried one. I did. So he gave me two. So one, I'm thinking I'm gonna save and keep, like to try to, make it look nice like as display. So I'm scared. Like I could technically like take it out the wrapper and like try to just display the wrapper, but I'm so scared. So anyway, look. I got a Reptar bar and I've never tried it. Like, should I try it now? Do you guys want me to try it? I'll just try one bite and then I'll sign off. I will chew with my mouth closed. Some people don't like eating on camera. I don't like eating in front of people. I get like freaked out by that. I'm like, I hate eating in front of people. I'm trying to do it nicely. Yeah. Come on. I have another one. It's in my fridge, which I would have to take that one out, and that one would be my display one. Hopefully, it hasn't gotten damaged in the fridge. Because then I'm opening the other one that's not there. All right. Here's one side. All right, looks like your standard chocolate here. Oh, the inside's green. Oh my god, the inside's green. Oh my god, this is so cool. Benjamin, thank you. Cameron, I know he's not here, but you could tell him for me. I'll just message him after. I don't want to make my teeth turn green. Pack says, let's see if your tongue turns green. Mm. It's a Reptar bar. Weird. Green! Mmm. I finally have tried it. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm supposed to be drinking later. I should not be eating chocolate. I just had pizza. All bad. All bad for you. It is green. Oh my god. Ew. Sorry. Oh my god. It's even worse when you stick it out further. Oh, okay. Cherry says, haven't seen those Reptar bars here in Canada. That's awesome. I could not find them for years. I used to know a guy named Jeff, who was my boyfriend Paul's friend, and he would taunt me and say, "Ha ha ha! I have a Reptar bar at home. Have you tried one yet?" And I kept saying, like, "I can't find any. I can't try it." And he's like, "Ha ha! I tried it, not you." And I'm like, "No." So mean, so terrible of a person to rub it in someone else's face that they cannot get their hands on a Reptar bar. So Cherry Tink, I hope you find a Reptar bar. I'm not trying to rub it in your face that you don't have one, but how cool is that? I'm so grateful that my friend Benjamin sent me these. Oh my god, the best. When Pax says, Reptar, Reptar, gotta find that Reptar. Of course, that's from Reptar on Ice, one of my favorite episodes of Rugrats. There are so many great episodes of Rugrats from the first 3 seasons specifically. um, Oh, I'm not the only person who thinks that. Cameron says he didn't finish The Rocco Return. It wasn't great for me. He still needs to watch Arnold. So I still have to watch Arnold too, but I'm glad I'm not alone with The Rocco Return. Because when I listen to Big Orange Couch, who are like my go to for Nickelodeon like opinions, they were like, oh, we liked it. And I'm like, no, I didn't like it. I mean, it was just me. Guys, I'm so excited that so many people are here talking Are You for the Dark and Nickelodeon with me. Thank you so much. Once again, I think the consensus is that everyone loves The Tale of the Ghastly Grinner mostly, but even more people really love The Tale of the Midnight Madness. If you guys had to pick between the two, as you know, a favorite between just those two, which one would you guys pick before I sign off? Let me know in the comments which one, if you had to choose one over the other, like you had to choose one and the other doesn't exist. Ghastly Grinner or Midnight Madness? Which one are you going for? Me? Oh my god, that's hard. Which one would I choose to keep? I hate decisions. That's why I started the either or. Besides being influenced by Big Orange Couch with their versus episodes, I thought how fun it would be to torture myself and make myself choose between things when I already have a hard time making decisions. Even between things I don't care that much about, but choosing between two things I love, it's hard. People are already like Pax says Midnight Madness, she would choose to keep. Cherry Tink says Midnight Madness. I have to go with Ghastly Grinner because of the goo. Why do I like goo? I guess it reminded me of slime. Jackie's going with Midnight Madness. I'm going with the Tale of the Ghastly Grinner. I don't know. I really like that one. Cameron says he loves. Oh, it's unanimous so far. Cameron says I just love Midnight Madness too much. I'm alone here. That's okay. I love hearing you guys' opinions. It's better than it's just me. If it was just me, then it would just be somebody being like, Ghastly Grinner, nothing else. Oh my god, I still cannot believe I just ate a piece of a Reptar bar. It's so cool. I don't know why I'm so excited about it. Good stuff. All right, it's going away already. I was like, how long is my tongue going to stay green for? I don't know. Some people think that ASMR is like eating things on camera. That is not ASMR. ASMR is like, oh, snap, snap. I kind of want to do ASMR, guys. I thought if I ever started an ASMR channel, and in case you guys don't know what that is, it's where people like do all, it stands for something formal, but it's essentially where people like do all these visual, they're called triggers, and audio triggers, like, oh, it's around my mic. Oh, anyway, I can't do it good, but I would get better. My channel would be called Nostalgic Tingles ASMR. I kind of want to do it because I've been really watching a lot of ASMR. I'm like, oh, it's so peaceful and amazing. And I've been practicing, not like a lot better than what I just did, but I just happened to randomly do the ASMR by myself. But anyway, ASMR is not eating for anyone who's unfamiliar. It is like making sounds and doing visual triggers, and it's supposed to give people like goosebumps and tingles down their spine and like on their head and on their back and stuff. And yes, it stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. So it's like an automatic response from certain triggers. Like, you know, you put your hands up and you're like, I'm going to get your negative energy away. I'm going to cut your negative energy. I would get better if I ever decided to do it, but it's like that, and I love ASMR right now. So, but sorry for eating on camera. But I had to taste a Reptar bar. All right, guys, I think we are going to wrap it up. I'm giving my official final ratings for the two episodes, even after revisiting it. I'm giving The Tale of the Ghastly Grinner a 4.5, even though I chose to keep that one if I had to choose between the two, just because of the iconic nature of the Ghastly Grinner as a villain. I think the story isn't as strong as the Midnight Madness episode. So, Midnight Madness as an episode, I give a 5 out of 5 because I do think the plot is great. There's really nothing to nitpick about it, nothing that you could really fault it for in terms of the story. The characters are fun, except for that damn manager. He is so freaking harsh, man. He's riding these kids so tough. Like, he's like, it's not their fault that they can't make any money, that they're selling, hardly anything, and that there's hardly anyone going to the theater. By the way, uh, I can't believe he won't even let Dr. Vink have one night a week to run his movies. Dude, he's the reason that you're successful now, and you can't even let him have one night? I don't know. I don't get the manager from the Midnight Madness. Like, what's going on? He's kind of mean. He's kind of a douche in a way. But like he's pretty nice at the end and everyone's like, haha. But there's an ominous like ending. Do you guys like the ominous endings of Are You for the Dark, or do you like the happier ones? I kind of like that a lot of episodes have this ominous, kind of open or eerie ending. I love those. I love those in books too. That's just me. So that's about it, guys. I really appreciate all of you watching live, and anyone who's watching after the fact, thank you so much. If you're watching after the fact, remember to shout out your favorite episode of Are You for the Dark below. I just want to get a gauge of what episodes everyone loves and really enjoys, and is the creme de la creme for them. Cameron says he loves ominous endings. Me too. And yeah, Cameron, I saw you said earlier, like we would have totally been best friends as kids. Like I know, we really would have been. We would have been like the bestest of friends. It's so sad that you live so far away. You and Benjamin both. We could be like flipping the Three Musketeers right here. But guys, thank you so very much for joining me, for talking Are You for the Dark. By the way, once again, a reminder, if you want to talk about Teen Witch with me, we will be discussing the movie Teen Witch. I believe it's from 1989. And that will be on Thursday, May 12th at 7 p.m. Central Time. And I hope you guys will join because I don't think, you might not think you could top what we're doing today, but you can top that because Teen Witch is pretty cheesy, pretty fun, and it's going to be a blast to discuss. And yes, it's from 1989. So I hope to see you guys then. But for this time, that's it for me. Thank you guys again. Till next time, you know what you can do. Keep on killing it. Bye guys. It's great when I can't even get my intro out. Bye. Thank you. Thanks guys.